Everybody, welcome back to the garage, and the good news is the turbo is mounted in the truck. The bad news is I shot about 4 hours of video of the process in which there was absolutely no audio. But that just means we'll do kind of a time-lapse sped up thing of manufacturing the up pipe, mounting the turbo, and all of the stuff that kind of went in that. We also ran into another snag of the air intake box is not going to work because my original plan of coming up the passenger side with the charge tube, there's just no room over there. Luckily though, there is plenty of room on the driver's side, so we're crossing over underneath, then we'll come up the driver's side of the transmission and engine, and then up past the steering column right into the supercharger. That means we'll have to create a new air box. I still want to have that brake gap where we can run that turbo saver between the turbo and the supercharger. So we're going to do a smaller version of the original airbox. It'll probably be mounted down underneath by the motor, and it'll probably just be a little square box underneath there. But so that being said, that's going to be coming up. We also need to run the oil lines. That all is pretty straightforward, no big ordeal there. We're going to be tapping the sump pan, which is like a sub pan to the oil pan. There's a metal small pan that sits on the bottom of these L83 pans, and then we'll be using that oil filter sandwich adapter. So that's probably going to be all in the next video. We'll drain the oil, get the adapter thrown on there, get the AN fittings for there, and I ordered more AN 6 line for the feed line. I don't think I'm going to necessarily need it. Originally I was going to need it because it was going to require a lot more running to get the line back to the turbo, but now that I'm running the charge pipe underneath there, I can just zip tie the line to the charge pipe and everything should be good to go. The lowest point on this, as you'll see, is the 90 that goes up into the bottom of the turbo flange. So if for some reason any part of this were to drag, it is going to be a section of exhaust, so we're kind of safe in that aspect. And then we're also going to have clearance for the exhaust to go underneath the cross member for the 4-link. So it all kind of worked out well. The turbo's a little bit cockeyed back there at an angle, but that's not going to hurt performance in any way. In fact, it's as said, it just make it work is kind of the motto around here. And so, but for now, while you guys watch me do the fabrication process and get this thing mounted, I'm going to run outside and mow the lawn and kind of do some stuff before the rain sets back in. I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that last bit a little bit more than I did. I'd much rather been underneath the truck working than out there mowing the lawn. It's getting a little bit humid, but it's done. That means we can get back to working. So what do we have left to do? Well, we need to do the wastegate, which means we need to build the screamer pipe. I think I've got some piping on the way to finish that part up. Should be fairly simple, but I also need to put a port down there for the vacuum port, or actually I guess it'd be a boost port for the wastegate, so we can actuate the wastegate to make sure that we don't have any spikes. Don't want to run that all the way from the front. So the charge tube right off the turbo, we'll figure out a way to get something on there, get a barb fitting so we can put a vacuum hose right over to the wastegate. It'll all be nice and compact out of the way. The rest of the charge tubing, I got a couple 45-degree silicone elbows on the way. 90s won't work, straight won't work. So I just got a couple odd bends as we get towards the front of the truck. So those will be here in a couple days. Oil system, probably going to be the next thing that we work on. We need to drop the sub pan. We're not dropping the full pan on this, on the L83s and probably the L86s. They have a small metal sub pan that bolts up to the aluminum oil pan. We're going to drop that sub pan and tap it, or cut a hole in it to put our return port on there. Then we will put the oil filter sandwich adapter on there. Some of the other Gen 5s that don't have the oil coolers on them may have a block-off plate that you could use, but we don't want to spend a whole bunch of money to get the adapter. They make cool adapters that replace the existing block, but still allow you to run the factory oil cooler, but also have oil pressure or turbo feed taps off of them. But those things are like 150, 200 bucks. So that would be a large portion of our budget on this build. So we're just going to do the standard $30 oil sandwich filter adapter. And I've got all the fittings for that, so we should be able to get the oil lines ran, get that taken care of, and then we'll just be waiting on the exhaust section, which we'll be doing 3.5 neck down to 3, and then initially we'll probably just do a dump, but we may end up putting the my thrush exhaust back on there. I kind of like it. It's not too loud, but it's still pretty raucous. We'll address that further down the road. You know, that's kind of the last bit of this whole project. After that, we need to do the pulley swap to make sure we're not running too much boost off the supercharger. That's about it. So, as I said, next we'll be doing the oil system, and then we'll finish up the intake piping. And man, then we're going to be ready to do some compound boosting. So, as always, you know, if you haven't already subscribed down there, make sure you check out the link to my tuning guide that's usually down in the description, where I go in depth into all kinds of different stuff. As far as tuning goes, and specifically how to tune with HP tuners, and there's more content coming out on that daily, almost probably 2-3 times a week. So we're filling in a lot of the gaps now that we've got some of the base stuff out there. If you like this video, throw a thumbs up. If you don't, throw a thumbs down. Tell me what you don't like about it, what you think I'm doing wrong. You know, make fun of me. I don't care. And as always, thanks for stopping by the garage.